Tested. Hey guys, it's Will from Tested.
I'm Norm from Tested.
Norm, we have a BlackBerry PlayBook.
Ooh.
With an umbilical cord, it
That's
seems.
a tablet.
Yeah.
From BlackBerry.
So this is the new RIM iPad competitor. It's gotten, I don't want to say savaged in reviews, but it's gotten savaged in reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have one here. I went and picked it up. Unsurprisingly, no line at Best Buy this morning.
So we actually pre-ordered before, but
I pre-ordered.
you decided, walk to Best Buy, see what the consumer climates would be like?
I pre-ordered, and then they never actually shipped it.
Oh.
So when I looked at this morning to see if it had shipped, it said still waiting, back ordered. So I called the Best Buy and I went and they said, yeah, we have like 50 of them. Come down and buy one, so I did. And here's the BlackBerry PlayBook.
All right.
So quick speeds and feeds. You'll note that it's smaller than an iPad.
And
so
the Motorola
Zoom. Yeah, if we're looking at the iPad here, oh, well, hold on, I'll hold them up like this and we can see if that shows. There we go. It's a 7-inch tablet instead of the more traditional 10-inch size or whatever size the Zoom is. It's 10 inches too, but a weird aspect ratio. Basically, 7-inch screen. The screen looks really nice.
That's the first thing you notice.
Yeah.
This screen, we've seen a bunch of 7-inch tablets before, and the most recent tablet we've seen is the Motorola Zoom, which is a 10.1-inch screen. This screen is extremely vibrant. I don't think it's an IPS screen. It's definitely the viewing angles.
The viewing angles are a little
perfect.
bit.
Still much less muddier than you would find on the Motorola Zoom, but much crisper than on the Galaxy Tab,
Right.
for example.
Well, and the second thing I noticed is that it is a very palmable device.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can hold it in one hand easily. If you're holding in portrait mode, which it'll rotate around in a second here, although it might not because the HDMI is plugged in. It's relatively comfortable to hold with one hand, and if you're doing two-hand, it's really easy to thumb type on.
Yeah, that's something I said when I reviewed the 7-inch Samsung Galaxy Tab. Is I really like a 7-inch form factor. Although the Galaxy Tab, that was meant to be held in the portrait position. This, like the Zoom, is meant to be held in the landscape position. It's not very curvy. It does look a little bit boxy. I mean, there's beveled edges.
If you look at the thickness, it's a lot thicker than an iPad is, or at least feels like it because of the curved bezel.
Yeah, it's not particularly rounded at the edges, but it is fairly light. A little bit more heavy than the Samsung Galaxy Tab. I think it's like 0.9 pounds, underneath a pound.
Okay.
But
versus 1.3 for the iPad 2, 1.5 for the iPad 1, and the Zoom's right around 1.5 and a half, right? It's almost 1.6.
So 7-inch screen, like we said, 1024 by 600 resolution, which looks very crisp on the screen. There is considerable bezel for the screen, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I think what we're going to find as we use more tablets is that the bezel size is a fixed quantity. So that because you need a thumb's width easily, so you can grab it with one hand. If you don't have that much, then you're going to be actually pressing the screen. But the weird thing about this is the bezel is all touch sensitive. So
that's not weird. That's awesome.
This is I like this a lot. I'm really pleasantly surprised at how well this works. But you go from side to side to change apps. That's very easy and totally intuitive. If you want to pull down a menu, so this is the camera app. Say hi to Landan. Then you pull down the settings menu by pulling down from the top, and you can
one finger.
You know, turn on image stabilization, and instantly things look better or whatever. I like this.
Scrolling up from the bottom takes you back to the home screen. So even if you're using with two hands, if you're gripping it and not just tapping with your finger, you can use your thumb and hit the bezel that way.
Yeah.
So for example,
so you can do one of these
grip
numbers.
It, actually grip it. You know, go from side to side, hit the menu. I like this a lot without having to, move your hand back and forth.
Well, and the other thing that you notice immediately is that the browser, the UI as a whole is very responsive, even when compared to the iPad 2, which I think is the current leader in how fast the UIs animate. Definitely faster than the Zoom, faster feeling than the Zoom.
Let's continue with the specs.
Yeah.
So that's the screen. Inside the BlackBerry PlayBook is a dual-core 1 GHz Cortex-A9 processor from Texas Instruments,
right?
Which is pretty much standard. It's very fast. It has a PowerVR GPU inside, which is why video looks like it runs very well.
Similar to iPad, different from the Zoom, which has the Tegra processor, of course.
And then it has a gig of RAM, which is why it can run many applications at once, and 2 cameras. So there's a 5-megapixel camera in the back and a 3-megapixel camera in the front. Both cameras will do 1080p video recording, and we'll give you a quick demonstration of that a little bit later on.
Yeah. So it's also worth mentioning we're going to be taking calls here in a little bit, not right now. The phone number is going to come up on the bottom in just a sec, so just keep your eyes peeled for that.
So, Will, you were talking about the UI earlier, and BlackBerry has not been known for having a modern UI, especially on its phones.
Well, the phones, you know, the phones have been using the same menu since the black and white phone days. It's traditionally a great device for email, a really bad device for everything else. So, you know, not a good web browser, not a good app experience, but email's really awesome. In theory.
On BlackBerry phones.
Yeah.
On the PlayBook, BlackBerry made 2 acquisitions last year, which helped develop the OS for the PlayBook.
Okay.
They bought this company called QNX, and
The microkernel Linux or Unix people,
yes,
right?
I think so. And they took the OS, which was called Neutrino, and now this is called the BlackBerry Tablet OS.
And this is going to move out to all the other BlackBerry phones in the future at some indeterminate period of time.
Yep. And then for design, they bought a company called the Astonishing Tribe, TAT, which had worked on some of early Android before. And so all of that stuff, the UI aesthetic is from that company, and it kind of looks like WebOS in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, just the way the multitasking works in kind of a card metaphor, where you bring the thing up and slide from side to side, very reminiscent of WebOS. I like that a lot. I mean, the first thing I'm noticing about this is that the multitasking is really, really clever. It's well implemented.
Yeah.
It's better than the goofy double tap on the iOS. It's better than the Android stuff so far.
And the paradigm it's different from both iOS and Android. Even Honeycomb, there is no home screen. There aren't community widgets.
We're looking at the home screen right now.
This is the home screen. The home screen is split between what apps you're running and the apps, apps menu. On the bottom, you do have the apps menu like you showed, so you have your favorites. It does come with a bunch of apps. We have downloaded a few right now. This is scrolling it up to the top. Let's just jump right into the basics.
So, okay, so there's a huge caveat with this.
Okay.
If you don't have a BlackBerry, there's no email, no calendar, no contact list.
So BlackBerry, the one company known for having great business utilities such as email and calendar and Messenger, those apps actually are not included.
So right
in the
here,
playbook.
you can see that there's Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo Mail. I'm going to tap on those and see what happens because I'm interested to see how this works.
And guess what? Gmail just opens up
the
browser. web browser.
Yeah, so
because
I
they
could
want
log
you to
in.
use the web app. Now, that's not to say that you can't run BlackBerry Messenger or email or contacts on the playbook. What you need at this point, at launch, is a BlackBerry phone.
Yeah, so you use this thing called BlackBerry Bridge. We don't actually, I figured somebody here had to have a BlackBerry.
Apparently, I think
nobody
60 million
uses them here.
people use BlackBerry phones. No one I know uses a BlackBerry phone.
But anyway, basically you use this BlackBerry Bridge thing. It's kind of like tethering on an iPhone or Android phone, but this allows it to do, so it allows it to pull mail, contacts, calendar from your phone. BlackBerry's saying this is a security thing. Clearly, I mean, that seems kind of bogus to me. Seems like maybe they just didn't get it finished in time.
I think it's definitely that they didn't get it finished in time because they're also promising that by the summer, there will be contacts and calendars included with the playbook or downloadable. But not right now.
No, not right now. So that means no mail notifications. You can still use webmail. That stuff works.
You can use webmail.
You can make bookmarks. I tried it a little while ago. Gmail works fine.
So speaking of webmail and web in general, let's go look at the browser.
This is the #1 thing for a tablet, as far as I'm concerned.
And the playbook uses a WebKit-based browser, which I actually liked a lot. You ran SunSpider on this.
I ran SunSpider, roughly equivalent to an iPad 2, not the one. I had, unfortunately, closed all the tabs a minute ago. But it was like 2,500 milliseconds SunSpider score, which is about right. I mean,
so benchmark-wise, sheer numbers, JavaScript performance should be comparable to the iPad 2.
I mean, JavaScript isn't everything. That's the one thing that we do know. I have to say this so far is much more capable than the iPad Safari or even the browser in Android.
Yeah, I think it takes the speed of the iPad browser and the functionality of the Android browser, because you do have tabs, you have a lot of options. So here we are on tested. Now, we're not a very heavy JavaScript site. The page is still loading right now. Let's wait for the page to load. And scrolling is smooth, but you'll see even though there's a gig of RAM, we do get the checkerboard.
The checkerboard happens, although it's not happening right now.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, there we go. Boom, checkerboard.
Before we reach the bottom of the page, we're getting a checkerboard effect.
Interesting. Some of the JavaScript stuff that doesn't work on other mobile browsers does actually work in this. I was able to post a comment with this. And the other thing, of course, is Flash support.
Yeah.
So when you go to the videos page, whether it's on our site or any place else that uses Flash, you can watch Flash videos.
Let's do a quick demo of Flash video. One that I also noticed in our brief time with the playbook is the rendering, the text rendering. So while you can still pinch to zoom, and also, for example, on the left column, double tap, and it will blow up just to that column, the text rendering does take a little bit longer on the PlayBook than it did on iOS or the Zoom. Pinch is responsive, it's just that the rendering is a little bit delayed. So now you're playing Flash video, and I think it's not actually converted to the HTML5.
I might have it set on too high a format, because I may be using the HD stream instead of the mobile stream.
You'll have to trust us. Flash actually plays
work
very well. High resolution, high quality Flash work very well. We're going to try to get this working here, and then try a couple of other flashlights. As of right now,
yes,
Hulu works.
You tried Hulu?
Hulu will work.
Wow.
And also,
are they going to turn that off?
I think probably Hulu will find a way to detect the browser and turn that off. South Park Studios also worked.
That's cool.
It's pretty nicely built in. So like if you play a video, Flash video, and you want to maximize it, you hit the icon there, because I think we're just about to get some buffering and some video going. This is also based on your internet connection.
In theory.
In theory. If you blow video up to full screen, BlackBerry will say you can get out of full screen by swiping from the top of the bezel down.
And this is also how you change tabs. So if I load up more tabs.
Did
it load finally?
I think you opened a new tab. And I think video
you tested this and it worked before,
yeah,
right?
It totally worked off our front page.
Okay, yeah, this is a live demo, so I mean, we find out what works and what doesn't as we go. I tried Justin a little while ago. That worked. We can get crazy with that.
We will get crazy a little later. Let's show more of the top menu. If you scroll down, so you can obviously add more tabs.
Yep.
These are default tabs. Bing is the default search engine, but that's really easy to change. Let's go to the options.
You want to do that right now?
And show you. Yep, your favorite page.
Already changed it.
I changed it to Google, and it's a fairly functional mobile browser. There's no bookmark syncing with your Google account, of course, so it's not as robust as on Honeycomb.
Right.
But for web browsing, it's fine. Let's load like South Park Studios.
South Park Studios.
Yeah,
the default
already
home.
Be on there.
Boom.
So I checked it out earlier.
So we're loading. This is wait, undergoing maintenance.
Oh man, perfect
well, this
timing.
Is fantastic. Great demo, guys.
Thanks a lot, Trey Parker.
Browser's pretty good though.
So, and not only is the browser pretty nice, because the file structure is pretty much like a PC file structure, you can download and upload from the browser. So for example, if you go to the browser and you launch something like Facebook, there is a shortcut to Facebook right there.
Here you go.
You can upload photos stored on the BlackBerry PlayBook just using the.
Oh wait, this is an app. This is just
again,
going back to a web page.
No apps. Let's not log you in.
I'm not going to log.
But you can download files also. So if you're on download site, it will just save to the hard drive of the PlayBook.
There doesn't seem to be a file browser though, which is a little bit weird.
There is no file browser app, but I'm sure that's something you'll be able to download. The files are all there. Let's talk about files, actually.
Yeah.
So media, you want to get your music, your movies, your ebooks, whatever.
You know, it's interesting you say that. I did that just a little while ago.
Very nice. Well, at least we tried.
No, I ended up getting it working. So
okay,
there's some big gotchas. You plug it in. I kind of expected this to just show up as a USB, like a USB device, like a thumb drive or external hard drive or whatever. That didn't work. So then I did some reading. You actually have to install either a piece of software that's a BlackBerry utility, or you can flip a setting on, and actually do sharing over Wi-Fi, which worked really well.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean So I loaded up MP3s, a couple of videos, stuff like that. Just by turning on Wi-Fi sharing, turning on file sharing, I had to figure out what the name of the device was. And then, just like you do when you browse to a computer, I typed //playbook -1EC4, whatever it is.
It's just and
it just shows up,
location.
which is fantastic. So
you can drag and drop over the Wi-Fi
music,
network.
You know, where copyright infringement is happening all around us.
Let's play 10 seconds, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
and if you notice, if you go back to the home screen on top,
you
can
get controls.
Control to stop it.
Did it have lock screen controls? Does this even have a lock screen?
I don't think it.
I'm a little bit afraid to turn it off for fear that our HDMI won't come back. So
I don't think it really matters that it doesn't have a lock screen, because one of the complaints with the BlackBerry PlayBook is that the power button, the sleep button, is so hard to push. I don't know if we can get a shot of that.
Here's the top shot.
Over on our.
It's this guy right up here.
It is basically there are volume controls on top of the PlayBook.
And play pause, which is kind of nice.
The power button is so tiny. I want to say it's millimeters.
It's very small,
and it's recessed, so you can't get the kind of.
Well, it's in a an unnatural place to press, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, I guess, as you're using.
You're not going to accidentally turn it on, but you're also not going to be able to use one hand and easily flip it on like you can with an iPad.
So let's look at videos too while we're talking about this stuff. I loaded up my favorite demo video, which is a DVD rip of The Room. not my favorite movie, just my favorite video game.
Sure.
I don't think these guys are going to sue us.
Now, the BlackBerry Playbook with the default media player and the PowerVR graphics chip, it will decode WMV, MP4, H.264.
Yeah, this is high-profile H.264, something that wouldn't work on the Zoom.
Yeah, high
does work on
profile,
the iPad.
Surprisingly, does not work on Tigre 2 yet.
Yeah,
But
so this is
high-profile
working
video,
fine.
and the scrubbing was really fast, and that's.
It's a competent. The thing is, I haven't loaded it up with 16 gigs of content yet. It seems like a reasonably competent player for media and video stuff just out of the box, which is pretty impressive.
There goes a quick demo of multitasking. So there's actually a couple different multitasking modes. The default multitasking mode, if you want to play a video again or play music again, we'll have it so your media and whatever apps you're running will continue running when you switch to the home screen.
Yeah.
But it will, while that does use a lot of battery life, it will freeze it and do a save state once another app is full screen. That's the default mode. We can change it to the showcase mode,
Which
and really give this a little bit of a stress test. So it's
So this runs
showcase.
everything in the background all the time.
No
right?
matter
That's
what,
the difference.
it won't run two videos at once. For example, if you have YouTube running in the browser and you have, or at least it wouldn't for me.
Hey, so we have a caller.
Oh, okay.
We have Imran on the line from, I think, Boston, maybe? Imran, are you there?
Hey, Will and Norm.
Hey, how you doing, dude?
Thanks for calling.
Doing well. Yeah, I just had a quick question about the Playbook. So I own an Android phone, and I've been owning an Android phone for a while now. And I'm looking for a proper companion tablet to go with it. Is the Playbook the proper tablet, or should I wait for the new Samsung device to come around?
That's a great question. Thanks for your call, Ron. It's too soon to say, really, for the Playbook, but judging by the fact that you have to have a BlackBerry in order to get email, calendar, and clients at launch,
Yeah.
probably I'm going to say don't go out and buy this.
So the key, I mean, you asked for a perfect companion device. There is no perfect companion device for your phone right now. By the summer, Samsung will have a 7-inch version of their Galaxy Tab running Android, and hopefully by the summer, BlackBerry will have email, calendar support, better.
It'll be fully functional.
Better Google integration, and not only that, the BlackBerry Playbook will potentially run Android apps this summer when the Android app launcher comes out. So
in theory.
In theory. We can't make any promises. BlackBerry sure is making a ton of promises, but wait for the summer.
So we were talking about showcase mode.
Yep. So
I've turned
multitasking. Showcase mode is on. So let's, for example, let's go play the room again in the background.
Okay.
Go back to videos and.
I still have music playing. It seems like.
And.
I'm going to stop that.
Pause that. If you look at the, I mean, how quickly you're jumping back and forth between.
It feels
the apps.
more PC than any tablet I've used to date, and because of the swipe gestures and all that stuff are really obvious.
Yeah.
You never have that uncertainty that you have when you're using the iPad. Did you double click fast enough, or whatever the problem might be? I'll load up Tetris here.
So curiously, something I could not figure out.
Wow, that's weird.
And that goes in portrait mode. Something I couldn't figure out is even though the BlackBerry Playbook uses so many, or relies so much on web apps, you can't. That I could see split the browser into multiple instances.
That I couldn't figure out how to do that either.
Yeah,
that was the
I
first
don't know.
thing I went and
I don't
looked
want to say that it's impossible, but it's at least not intuitive. The browser, you can do multiple tabs, but that is still one window, which confuses me. I would like to have Gmail in a window.
Right.
I would like another window.
Exactly. I would like to. If you're going to treat these as apps, then they should have their own. They should have their own icons, which they do, but they should not all open inside the browser, which is right here. I mean, this is going to have 6 tabs in it really quickly. Let's look at video. I did some video recording a little while ago. I don't know that we can really demo the showcase thing that well here. But I went outside, shot some videos, shot some photos. These are motorcycles down the street from the office with image stabilization off.
So this is using the rear camera, 5 megapixel camera, and you're in 1080p.
1080p mode.
And let's show another video you shot.
Walking down the street.
And is this image stabilization still off?
Still off.
Video quality actually looks to be really good. It's definitely much better than the iPad 2, which has a terrible camera sensor on the back and the front. And even the front camera on here, it's 3 megapixels. The photos you took look really good. It did take a little while to focus and do an actually activate the shutter.
There's no tap to focus.
There is no tap to focus. Taking a photo will take a little bit longer than it does with like a smartphone. But once, well, that's a dashing picture. But once the photo is taken, it looks nice. You can make that your wallpaper.
We have Alex from Kansas on the line, Norm.
Hey,
Alex, how you doing? We may not have Alex from Kansas. on the
No,
line.
I am doing great.
Oh, there you are. What's your question, sir?
My question is, I have an iPad 1, and I use it primarily for comic reading.
Okay.
And so I was wondering, how responsive is the playbook for like pinch to zoom and stuff like that on the images?
Let's show you right now.
I'm loading up a browser. I'm going to put tested in there.
So you mentioned comics in particular.
there's not much comics.
Not many comics or
yeah.
apps for any matter. Let's go actually go to the media app and look at the photos. Like for example, just a series of
Okay.
JPEGs. When you're in a gallery, even like the default ones that they include, I found pinch to zoom actually not that great.
You can't pinch
Well,
to
no,
zoom inside the
for example,
inside the gallery.
If we go and hit this picture.
Okay.
Whoa. Yep. See, you can't pinch to zoom
Whoa.
easily. What I had to do, I actually had to double tap it first,
Okay.
which got it all the way zoomed in, and then from there pinch to zoom. It's
I think let's go check the browser and see how that does. I mean, this is one of those. It's a weird kind of test, right? Because it's not a real.
Yeah.
It's not a real benchmark, but I mean, it does represent kind of real-world performance and something that will annoy you every day if it's slow. So, while we load up tested. Oh,
Yeah.
Alex, thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
yeah, definitely appreciate it.
Thanks, Walt and Norm.
If you guys have any other questions, you can always give us a call or Skype us. Whiskey Media, I believe, is the Skype line.
Yeah, and of course, there's also people in chat. So maybe we can take a question from the chat. Dan, anybody with
Will.
anything?
Overwatch is wondering what's the preferred orientation, landscape or portrait?
What BlackBerry prefers you to use is landscape, which is
Okay.
how I'm holding it now.
I mean, they put the logo at the bottom.
the logo's at the bottom,
Yeah.
the camera's at the top of the device, and it really works well. Like for example, my thumbs, I'm holding it right now, gripping it in the landscape mode, and I'm using my thumbs to quickly switch between the apps, and then I can easily go back to the home screen or get the menu. But let me go back to the web browser. What we want to do, and even pinching,
I mean,
pretty
that
fast.
looks pretty fast to me.
But if you look at the text rendering, so for example, I want
it
you
looks
to
like it's
focus your
popping in and
eyes on status updates on the right
That-
side.
okay.
I'm going to double tap this, and hopefully it will
pretty
zoom
good so
in.
far.
Nope, that's not going to zoom
Live
in.
demo, folks.
And I'm going to tap here. And if you notice, the text is not rendering, and there it
Oh,
goes.
it pops in.
It does pop in. The rendering takes a little bit longer. It's actually way more noticeable in the portrait position, which I don't think is going to work when
it
you're
doesn't
tethered
switch
to HDMI.
automatically, yeah.
Yeah. So, but while pinch to zoom is responsive, the text rendering does take, I would say, there it goes, 3 seconds almost to actually
It's a long
re-render.
time.
Yeah, that's actually a very long time. There's 1, 2, 3. There it goes.
Yeah.
Yep. One thing I also noticed is that switching it from portrait to landscape mode, there's no smooth animation as there is with
Well,
the
it
iOS.
seems to
and
lag.
It does lag.
Yeah.
So you actually have to like hold it in the other orientation for like a second or two, and then the app will flip over. Not that great.
We have another call, Norm.
All right.
Daniel from Florida, are you there?
Yes, I am, Will.
What's your question, sir?
Earlier you said that the Playbook's OS was pretty fast, but not as fast as the iOS that you said on iPad. I was wondering what you thought the direction of tablets might be, because currently they only serve the purpose of really, playing some games and surfing the web, and the technology is starting to catch up with laptops. So I was wondering where you thought the OSs and the purpose of tablets might be going in the future.
Well, it's a good question. Thanks for your call.
Thanks for calling.
I mean, there's two minds of I have two thoughts about this.
Yeah.
One is that a lot of people are using tablets to consume video content, which is it's a good way to do it. It's you still have this thing you have to hold, and it's a little uncomfortable to hold your tablet up whether you're laying in bed, sitting in a chair, whatever. I find I'm using mine to read a ton, and I think as we get more power, we're going to become the small subsets of computing that you use these devices for are going to end up being more functional and more comparable to their PC cohorts. So right now when you use a tablet, you're making big sacrifices in the browser. Hopefully in the future, you'll have a much more desktop-like browsing experience, and that won't be as big of a problem. Dan, any questions from the chat?
Mixed Up Zomb is wondering, does gaming have any hope on this thing?
Well, I mean, so RIM is going to release Android apps for this, right? It's Android app developers just have to submit their app when they start the Android program later this year. Submit their apps, and theoretically, the app should show up in the app store. What is it they call it? The app market?
BlackBerry App World.
App World, yeah.
I think gaming totally can work on this as long as developers get behind it.
Native seems to be the key.
Native is the key. There are so many different ways to develop for BlackBerry. You can use Adobe Air. You can run it as an Android app. It can be a web app, and they have their own SDK. But when we saw demos of the BlackBerry Playbook at CES and even at GDC, Quake 3 runs on the BlackBerry Playbook. It's not an app you can download right now. What's the game? Machinarium?
Machinarium.
Yeah. That was ported successfully over to the Playbook and ran fine with touch interface. The problem seems right now is that the developing platform is PC. For the BlackBerry Playbook, and so some of the apps actually still are direct ports from PC apps. So
this looks like the PC version of Undercover.
Well, actually, this is optimized for Playbook, but some apps say press spacebar to continue, and obviously there is no spacebar on the Playbook. This game actually came built in Need for Speed Undercover.
Is this like a time lock demo, or is this something that you get the full
I actually have not launched yet, so this is the first time running.
I can't fast forward.
We can't fast forward through Maggie Q and the video, but. This is a tilt-based racing game, and there it goes.
Oh wait, here we go.
So let's quickly get into a race. This is being rendered in real time, and let's see if you can
This is nothing new. This game's been out for Android for a long time.
Race through the game, and then in the middle of the race, jump back to the main menu, pause it, and see if you can switch over to something like video. And
My car constantly accelerates until reaching its maximum speed.
So are you turning right now? By
I brake by holding anywhere, and I turn by tilting. Good thing this road is really straight. Oh God. That could have gone better.
You have crashed.
Wow, that might be a new record.
So you're racing, but let's
don't tap with 2 fingers. Oh my God, the game is still going.
Still going, and since we're in showcase mode,
I'm gonna crash.
It's still running even if I go to pictures.
Oh my God.
Oh, are you still racing?
Oh, I can't see the. I can't see the road.
Let's play a video.
What? Maggie Q's gonna die.
Still racing.
That's crazy. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely potential here for gaming. The Power VR chip is, I mean, nobody knows what's in the Apple tablets. Very real possibility it's the same technology. It's just all about app support. And I mean, we know, anybody who's used Android games knows that the difference between an awesome Android game and a terrible Android game is how much time the developer put into it and what, whether they optimize for the different platforms. The nice thing about this is this will be the only BlackBerry tablet. It's not like there's 17 different SKUs of this. So the Android fragmentation that has been a problem so far won't happen to this at all, assuming people support it.
So speaking of SKUs, while the Playbook will be the only BlackBerry tablet, for now, the one coming out today, that's out today in Best Buy and other stores, is the $500 model, 16 gigabyte Wi-Fi only. And
I think they have 32 and 64s as well.
With $100 price increase
up to $699 or $599.
And there will be a 4G version coming later this year. Now, if you look at the ports, there is no, I could see micro SD slots, so it's not
there are no slots.
Expandable like the Motorola Zoom, which actually you still can't put a micro SD slot in there right now because you don't have the patch. So you're stuck with the 16 gigs. It does have a gig of RAM, and even though in our testing, when we had too many tabs open or too many videos, flash videos running, the browser just crashed.
That's great.
The way it's supposed to work is it's supposed to send you a warning. There will be a notification pop up in the top left-hand corner of the screen. It says the system's running low on memory. Please turn off some apps. It does also come with some productivity apps. So obviously,
documents to go stuff basically.
If you're going to be owning a BlackBerry tablet, you'll want to type documents on there. And so if you load up basically Word to Go, you have a pretty robust word processor built right in. And the keyboard, though, the keyboard, there's no haptic feedback, so it's not going to vibrate or buzz
no tapping.
When you tap on the keys. You do get a nice little sound effect, but there's also no predictive text. So typos aplenty. But it is a pretty nice word processor. I don't know if you can get a shot of that right now. Over the top, you have all your
This is an app that's available for other platforms as well, though. I know it's on Android, and I'm pretty sure it's on iOS as well. Interesting, it doesn't do autocorrection in the typing, which seems pretty weird to me, given that we live in the future where I kind of want autocorrection on my normal computer, desktop PC. I think we have a call coming in, Norm.
All right.
Rob from England, are you there? How you doing, Rob?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's going on, sir?
Not bad. I was just wondering if I was to get a BlackBerry Playbook or a Asus Transformer, which is that thing that sort of folds into like that netbook thing.
Right.
What would be the better option to sort of go with? I mean, you know, with most of them sort of the edges
Are those your only options?
Yeah, well, not really, but you know, I like the look of both of them.
You're giving us a hypothetical.
Yeah. If you were forced between the PlayBook and the Transformer, I think the PlayBook. The Transformer runs Honeycomb, and even though it has that kind of cool netbooky, to tablet ability, and it's cheaper.
Did you
it's
get hands-on
$40.
with that at CTIA?
No, we actually didn't. It wasn't at CTIA. The PlayBook is much smoother, and the web browsing experience is much better.
Honestly, it's a great question, Rob. Thank you for calling. I really think I would kind of hang back, and I don't think I would spend money on either of these things without spending more time.
Hypotheticals.
I mean, don't
put us in that.
Don't buy this today. We need to spend more time with it. Everybody else said it was terrible. We're going to give it a fair shake and see what we think. I'm kind of aside from the glaring omissions, though, the email and the contacts especially. I'm excited about this device. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't expect that to happen.
There is a lot of potential here, but the other way to look at that is that it also feels like it was kind of rushed to the market.
So
which it didn't really need to be.
Let's look at apps a little bit.
Yeah. So BlackBerry says that there are about 3,000 apps in their app world right now.
And a lot of these are ported Flash apps, right?
Yeah. I was very, very unimpressed with the app selection. The essentials that we typically want: Twitter, Facebook.
Oh, hold on. Wait, I'm going to search.
Not there at all.
No Twitter, no Facebook, no Pandora. No Kindle.
Correct.
Does it have the sound recognition thing?
Shazam. No Shazam.
Does it have SoundCloud?
Nope. There are some
it have
generic
Angry Birds?
apps. No Angry Birds. Surprising.
There's no Angry Birds at all? I thought it had Angry
Now
Birds
there
Real,
are a couple
at least.
rip-off clients.
my goodness.
Angry Bird wannabes. Some apps do tap into Twitter feeds. No Dropbox app, but there is an app that can access your Dropbox but won't sync. And it needs a lot of work.
Hey, while we're looking at the App Store, Dan, are there any more questions from the chat?
Yeah, somebody was wondering earlier, who is this for? I mean, are they going to try to pull Apple tablet owners?
I think this is clearly for people who have BlackBerries.
Yeah.
I mean, they're selling it with no mail client, no calendar, no contacts. I know I keep hammering on that. It is almost unfathomable to me that they would release a tablet that you can't have a native mail client on. I think right now, if you are a business and you deploy BlackBerry and that's the phone that you give people, this is a good, and you want a tablet, this is the thing to look at. Well,
in businesses, tablets are becoming much more important. Like IT departments not only have budgets for smartphones, but they have budgets for tablets now.
Yeah.
And with the iPad 2 out, we see that Apple's also pushing for iPad 2 to be a business device.
Our business guy at Apple, when I went to pick up the iPad 2s, even said, look, people are dying. They're ordering 400 and 500 of these at a time.
And when
for business
companies
deployments.
adopt iPad 2 as their business tablet, they're probably going to switch over from the BlackBerry to the iPhone. And so this is out really for companies so they can hold on to the BlackBerry phones and have a tablet they can use, and then if they're patient, get more functionality later.
Yeah, I think that's I don't. This is a product looking for a market, not a product going into an established market. I think. Any more questions from the chat?
How does the screen hold up out in daylight?
It works surprisingly well. So I went out and shot some video a little while ago. I was really, even on automatic brightness, which usually gets a little bit dim, I was able to, ran out of cord there. I was able to wave it around in the sun. It's not the brightest day in San Francisco today, but it is sunny enough that I would have had trouble, the brightness on this thing gets good. Although I have to say it is getting a little bit warm, which is kind of disconcerting.
That's what I noticed earlier when I was charging it. It charges via micro USB, comes with the cable, and I thought it was just because it was
the battery was charging, yeah.
But definitely near the bottom of the device here, like right now I can feel, we've had it on for about like half an hour straight. It's pretty warm right now. I wouldn't want just to hold it like that with one hand.
Oh yeah, so let's talk about price and all that stuff, because we haven't hit that. The base model, the 16 gig model, $500?
$500,
so that means
Wi-Fi only.
It's 4 inches smaller than an iPad, but it costs the same thing? Mm-hmm. What else we got?
I'm not that surprised.
There's no cell phone model?
4G model this summer.
Okay.
And I don't know if they've announced a carrier. I think they might have. But again, that will probably be more expensive.
Yeah, so they're clearly competing with iPad here, even though they're kind of bringing a knife to a gunfight in a certain sense. And I guess what else do we want to show? Is that seems like it's kind of the whole thing. We want to run through the settings real quick.
Let's quickly show some
settings. And of
settings.
course, if you have questions, this is the time to get them in. Send them to Dan in the chat. Oh, Dan has a question.
Did you guys cover battery life?
We don't know about battery life yet because we haven't actually, we'll run it down at some point in the not too distant future. I think they're promising the normal 8 hours though, right?
That's what they're promising. I think even using it right now, we had it fully charged. It looks like it's already at about 70% battery. We do have it at full brightness, to be fair, and in showcase mode, so it's running everything in the background. That's going to be something you're going to want to turn off. You can turn off Bluetooth. You can tweak it to get more battery life.
I mean, the other thing I'll say is that the HDMI mirroring worked out of the box fantastically.
Much better than the Motorola Zoom.
Yeah.
Plug an HDMI cable, a micro HDMI, straight to your TV. You can have it so you can run a video 1080p on your TV, and because of multitasking, you can be running a different app or web browsing on the BlackBerry tablet and not have the video, not have it be mirrored.
We have another call, Norm. I think Vin from Australia is on the line.
Hi, Vin.
Hey, can you hear me guys fine?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, good. I was just wondering what your opinions are of off-the-screen gestures and the possible future of having an iPad with only capacitive touch.
It's a great question. I really am excited. I like the off-the-screen gestures a lot. I mean, my initial reaction is strongly positive. I mean, I don't know, we can come back here, but just so you can see, I mean, I am literally moving my finger up from the bottom. There's no home button. There's no, I mean, basically, there's only a couple of pieces of buttons.
There are a couple ways to do off-screen gestures. So, for example, you could have capacitive buttons on the bezel. The bezel, you can have the gestures, the sensors pretty much anywhere. The bezel does not light up. So there aren't any notifications there, and it's not very complex. Like you don't need to have a 2-finger gesture or a 3-finger gesture, and I like it that way. I wouldn't want gestures in the bezel where you're going to have like 1, 2, and 3-finger gestures. You have to memorize a whole different set of commands.
That stuff comes naturally though with time, I think.
And I don't think, like on the iPad, I don't think they're ever going to release a tablet that has no dedicated home button because that's just so intuitive.
Well, and they've trained people to look for that home button. But I mean, I think that the bezel gestures are a good innovation.
That is a good trend, and we expect to see other companies adopting.
Well, and the thing about the PlayBook is they actually have sensors. The whole face is a sensor, so you can have different corner gestures. I mean, they can add more gestures to this as they go on. Any more questions from the chat, Dan? And if not, I guess we'll.
Overwatch says, "What about hooking this tablet to external devices such as displays and keyboards?"
Yeah.
So
we didn't.
We haven't tested that yet.
We haven't done keyboards, but for displays, like we said, there's HDMI, and that works very well. It does 1080p out. Let's quickly go through these settings. Like there goes HDMI. You can do mirroring as the default, which we have on right now. That's how you can see it. There is internet tethering. So if you have a BlackBerry device, you can share internet off of that.
Oh, do they charge you for that?
I think they
normal
do.
tethering rates apply.
Yeah.
Probably since it's BlackBerry, they charge you $5 more than the normal tethering rates actually. Yeah, so that's the PlayBook. I mean, dual core, 1 gigahertz Cortex A9 CPU. I mean, it's a really nice looking 7-inch screen.
Yeah.
What was it? 1024 by 600.
It's 1024 by 600. Comes with word processor. Comes with a couple games. No default Twitter client. No native Facebook client.
Just assume there's no
native,
apps.
Yeah, assume there's no native great apps that you've come to expect from a modern tablet at launch. But the UI is very smooth. The browser is very nice. It does have ebook reader, no Kindle, but I think they've partnered with Kobo.
Yeah, Kobo. They actually have hardware. They have hardware readers. I mean, it's an established brand.
So if you can set up an account there, there is a music store. I think with 7 Digital, I think is the name of the company.
And I would assume Amazon will have the MP3 store on here before too long. I think we have one more caller, then, Norm.
All right.
I think it's Michael from Sweden.
That's right.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Oh, Portal 2's out.
I heard.
It's awesome. So yeah, my question is whether RIM is sort of shooting themselves in the foot with providing Android support, in that devs might not be developing natively if they could just develop for Android and then providing the same app for BlackBerry as well.
It's a fair question. Thanks for your call, Michael. I think
I don't think so.
Well, it gives them a kickstart, but it also gives it very little incentive to actually develop apps for this thing. Although they are giving away free PlayBooks to anybody who writes an app, basically.
Yeah. So because the Android app launcher isn't out yet, we have no idea whether that wrapper will create a slowdown, whether there will be performance differences between native apps and Android apps.
What the certification process is going to be.
And what the experience is going to be like. Is it going to be a full screen Android experience? Is it going to be hindered in any way? I think it's smart of them to do it, and it immediately makes the Playbook almost an Android honeycomb competitor.
It immediately makes the Playbook almost a honeycomb competitor when this actually happens
when
later
the
this
app
year.
comes out.
I mean, this again, something we've talked about in the podcast a lot. Don't buy products because of the promise that they have in the future. Buy them because of what they are the day that you shell out your hard-earned cash. For that reason, I mean, we're going to do a full review. I don't think there's any reason to go out and buy this today unless you are a hardcore BlackBerry user. And even then, I would think about it. Yeah, if you have multiple, if you can juggle
and work is
bowls,
paying for it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the BlackBerry Playbook, I guess then.
Yep. And again, stay tuned. We'll do more comparisons with the iPad, the Zoom, and a full review. Hopefully, and of course, we'll revisit it once BlackBerry releases their official email clients and the Android launcher. But stay tuned for more coverage
for that, and we'll talk about it on the podcast this week for sure.
Absolutely.
So for Tester, I'm Will.
I'm Norm.
Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.
See ya.